Hey everyone, Sophia here from My Great Challenge. Welcome back to an episode of Anyone Can Quilt. I am starting a new project. I got it from this magazine and it's actually this quilt but with different colors. Okay, so this is the Easy Quilt magazine. This is the one for winter 2017. You can still find it at the store or you can order it online. I'm sure that if you go on their website, you'll find the pattern. Here it is. It's called Star and Stripes. It's actually not a difficult quilt to make. Here is the diagram for it. And then here is a picture of it. Okay, so I am doing this as a gift. This quilt was designed by Christy Bowman, and she started quilting 30 years ago. And if you want information about her, you can go to fonsandporter.com/designers. You'll get more information about the lady. That's her right here. So what am I doing that's different? I really like the design. It's not very complicated for somebody who's a self-taught beginner like me, but I'm doing it in all beige, brown, and red. So far I've done 2 blocks, and here they are. So here's block number 1, and here is the second one that I did. Right, so for this particular block, what I did is that I used a flower pattern here, a floral here for the red. I have a plain, oops, little thread. Okay, I have a plain brown right here, which I plan on quilting with some doodles. If I get a little bit ambitious, I may repeat the pattern here, the paisleys here in brown quilting, and then I have a brown paisley here. And then the second one that I did is a little bit different. It's a larger red floral. It's more of a fish scale pattern here for the brown, but it's same thing, a little bit of a floral pattern there. So today I'm just going to show you how to do this particular pattern. That's the one right here, and then next week I'll show you how to do this one. They're basically the same. The only difference, if you look at the design, is that this is the one I've made so far, and then the one I'm doing next week is pretty much the same, except that it has the 9 patch right there in the middle. So this is a fairly large quilt. The final dimension is 72 by 84, so it's a little large. I'm definitely going to do it that size. Altogether you need 10 of those big squares, the 12.5 by 12.5, and you need 10 of the other squares. So I have 2 so far. It's going to take me a while. This is going to be a gift sometimes in May. I'll have time to finish it. What are we going to do today? I'm going to pick this floral background. I'm trying to make them all different, and once I have ran all of my patterns, then I'll mix and match. Okay, so I'm going to do this brown floral here. I'm going to do this red here that has tinier patterns, and then for the brown I'll do a repeat of the one that I have with the fish scales. So that's going to be the color combo for this one. So let's get started. Okay, so let's look at the pattern. This is the block. That's 12.5 by 12.5, and it's actually 4 different components. The first one is this little square here. That's a 4 patch. Then you have 2 strips that just have bands, and then you have the star right here. So I'm going to start by showing you how to do this, then the bands, and then we'll do the star. So let's begin by making the 4 patch. I picked the red fabric here, and I'm going to make 1 band that is 2.5 by 5 inch. You just need 1 in your red color. Of course you can do it in red, white, and blue if you wanted to, but that would be the red one for you. And then I need another one, same size, 2.5 by 5 inch, and that one I picked the beige floral, which is going to be basically the background. So you have those 2 bands, and basically all you're doing at this point is putting them together. So you fold them right side to right side, make sure they are aligned corner to corner, and all we're going to do is a straight line from one end to the other at 1/4 of an inch seam. So here we go, we have the two bands assembled, and I have pressed it with my iron towards the dark side, that way the dark side doesn't show on the other side. And I'm just going to go ahead and split them in two. Remember, these are 5-inch bands, so half is 2.5. I'm just going to go ahead and just cut it. It gives me two pieces, and now I'm just going to flip them over and assemble my 4 patch just like that. You fold it over, right side towards right side. Make sure your seams are matching here. You can pin it if that helps you keep it in place, and just a straight line and a 1/4 inch seam. And here we go. This is our first square. This is a 4 patch. We're ready to do the bands. Moving on to the brown fabric, I need to cut some bands. They're going to be 5-inch by 2.5, and I need 4 of those. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut up to 10 inches and cut at 2.5, and I need again 4 of those. Here we go. And then once that's done, I'm just gonna go ahead and pick my other fabric. That would be the background fabric, and that's the same beige I've used with the 4 square, and it's doing the same thing. I need 4 beige strips that are 2.5 by 5, and that's going to give me the 2 bands that are on either side of my 4 patch. So here we go. How do we assemble those bands? Just starts by placing a brown one, then a beige one, another brown one, and another beige one. You just need 4, and that's going to be 1 strip. And then the next one, you do exactly the same thing. You alternate them, a brown, a beige, a brown, and a beige. And like everything else we've done so far, you just assemble them by folding them over, right side towards the right side, 1/4 inch seam. Once you're done with that, you add the other one, right side to right side of the 1/4 inch seam, and then same thing with the last one. And you're going to repeat it with the other band. So here we go, we have 2 bands, and I've pressed them again towards the dark side. So on this one you'll see that the seams are towards the outside, and on this one it's toward the inside. Makes a little pocket here, and again we do this so that the dark side of the seam doesn't show on the lighter fabric when you reverse it right there. Okay, so how does it get assembled? We're not assembling it yet, but I'm trying to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. So you'll have your corner all the way on the top left. We'll place 1 band this way with the dark side towards the 4 patch, and then we'll do the same thing with the other band, and then right here in the center we'll have the star. So let's make that. Here's an easy technique for flying geese. Let's start with a 5.25 by 5.25 square, and then you need 4 red square that are 278 by 278. So we're just gonna have 4 of the red square and 1 big of the background. That would be my beige. So how do we do the flying geese? This is actually pretty easy. All we're going to do is place this red square right here, all the way on top at the corner. You just want to make sure that it's nicely aligned on either side. And then you take another one of your red square and you place it at the bottom part of your square. Again, make sure it's aligned, and these are again right face towards the right face. You may want to pin it so that it doesn't shift when you're ready to sew it. And all we're going to do once it's pinned is take a ruler and mark the center as well as the seams on either side. So here I'm using a Fons and Porter 1/4 inch ruler. You make sure it's aligned right there at the corner, and same thing here at the bottom. This is going to give you exactly the center of your big square. And then you just take a pencil and you're going to mark the 1/4 inch seam on either side of that center line. So it's easier for me if I flip it around actually. Place that little ruler right back on, make sure it's aligned from one corner to the other, and just go ahead and trace at a 1/4 inch seam from the center. And now we have to do is make a straight line with the machine exactly on the pencil line on both sides. So I'm hoping you can see my stitch line on both sides. I'm just going to flatten this a little bit, take my big flat ruler, and I'm going to slice it right there from corner to corner, pretty much in half. And that gives me 2 pieces with those 2 little triangle flaps right there. And I'm just going to go to my ironing board and flatten those. So that will give you one of those little heart shape. You take another one of those squares. Remember, we cut 4 of those. You do exactly the same thing. You're going to align it right there at the bottom and make sure it's aligned. I want to make sure I am pinning it because I don't want it to shift. And then once that's pinned, I'm taking the exact same ruler. I'm positioning it to the center of my red square from corner to corner. Take a pencil, mark the 1/4 inch seam on either side, and we're doing the exact same thing. We're going to sew a straight line on both pencil marks. So here it is. You can see my 2 stitch lines right there. Take the ruler, flat ruler, go corner to corner and splice it in 2. And that is going to give you 2 flying geese. And all you have to do is iron it, and then we're going to cut the little ears on top and on the side and repeat the process with the second one. And here's the second one, so we just have to repeat the exact same process. Iron it flat, and what we'll do is that we'll cut the little ears on 3 sides. And that is it. I now have 4 flying geese, and they are all identical. Again, I flatten them and press towards the dark side, and I'm ready to assemble my block. So let's just get started with that. And what we're going to do is use 4 beige squares that are 2.5 by 2.5 inch, and these are going to be the corner of the star. And then right in the middle I need 1 brown square, and this is the solid pattern that I've picked, and this one is 4.5 by 4.5. So let's go ahead and assemble it. I'm starting with 1 flying geese with the ears going up this way. Place another one with the ears going outside, and then another one with the ears going the other way, and then the bottom one will have the ears going down. Okay, and assemble it with the solid square that's 4.5 by 4.5, and just add your corners 2.5 by 2.5 in the same background fabric. And like we do everything else in quilting, all we got to do now is assemble it. So now we're just ready to go ahead and sew the whole star. We're going to separate that into 3 rows. It's easier that way. The top one, you're going to fold right side to right side, the corner onto the flying geese, 1/4 inch seam. Repeat the process on the other side at a 1/4 inch seam. And we're doing the exact same thing with the middle row, 1/4 inch seam right there, and then flip it over, 1/4 inch seam right there, and repeat the process with the 3rd row. Flip it over, 1/4 inch seam. Just pay attention to your seams, otherwise your seams will not match. 1/4 inch right there, and once that's done and pressed, we're going to flip them onto one another at a 1/4 inch seam. here it is. I didn't do too bad. I'm a little tiny bit off right here. You probably can't see it. So I think this block is actually pretty fun. It's not that hard, you know, you just got to make sure you get all the right measurements. So we started with this little square, this 4 patch here. So it goes right here in the corner. Then we did 1 band, and we're going to keep the dark side towards the left, right here. Okay, and then we did this one. It goes this way. All right, so same thing. We're just gonna assemble it. You do this one with this one first, and this one and this one first, and then once you have your 2 parts, you put this one over like this at a 1/4 of an inch seam, and that will be it. So I'll be right back with a full block. All right, and here it is. Few hours. This is perfectly aligned right here. Let me show you, because I'm learning, so I don't have any problem showing you mistakes. Let me see, a pointer. I need some kind of pointer. Let's do the sim ripper. Okay, so this is perfectly aligned here. I'm very happy with that. We find here as well. Over here, however, I'm a little off, okay, by about a little bit over 1/8 of an inch, and otherwise I'd say pretty good. So now I have 3 of these. You gotta look at them this way for you guys. Okay, so here's one, here's another one, and here's another one. So you see, I'm trying to make them all somewhat different. Same pattern, same tones, but different fabric. So once I have the entire quilt, it's gonna be kind of a mismatch of fabrics, but it's still gonna be in the browns, and I really like that. I'm keeping those, the center ones, I am keeping them pattern free and solids. So the next time I see you next week, we'll see how we do the exact same one, except that there will be a 9 patch right here in the middle, and those are going to be tiny because each corner is going to be a 4 patch. So we have a 4 patch, 4 patch, 4 patch, 4 patch, and then a center, and then 4 solids here. So that's going to be really tiny, tedious work. So I have to tell you, I'm very happy. I started quilting again, I don't know, when did I do that, guys? Somewhere end of August? Yeah, when I was doing a vacation in August, and I think I'm progressing. Listen, I am not the best tutorial on YouTube. I'm perfectly aware that there are professionals out there who do a much better job than me, but I just want to share my experience with you and show you what you can do and how you can progress when you stick to it. So don't be discouraged, you too can do this. Yes, you can quilt too, and I mean it, anyone can quilt. I'm not very talented in needle wise or otherwise, I guess, but I enjoy it very much, and the best part for me is to share it with you and show you the projects that I'm working on. So if you like this kind of video, give me a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe right here in the corner if you want to see the next episode. I'm going to do the whole project for you guys. So I'll have this week, I have to do the other 7, and then next week I'll show you the other pattern, and then I'll do during that week the other 7 or so that we need. So in 2 weeks we'll be ready to assemble the whole quilt during the sashing, and then I'll show you the quilting, the binding, and all of that. So we'll have a full project, and whoever's getting it, I hope they will enjoy it, because I'm putting some work into this and I'm really enjoying it. So I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, you guys. Bye.